My little brother just came home from daycare. His internal organs did not come home with him. Is this legal? I asked him. We will make it legal, the baby seller replied. In the middle of the night, your dog stands on his hind legs and says, "Nobody will ever believe you." Then you see him grab a kitchen knife and run into your parents' room. What I've just read for you are 3 bone-chilling examples of a very popular subreddit called r/2sentence horror.
That shit big as hell. What the fuck is that, Shai?
It's such a popular subreddit that many people are actually familiar with its format without even knowing about the sub itself or the earlier site that inspired it, 2sentencestories.com. Those who do visit the subreddit know that the quality varies wildly from post to post. You got genuinely creepy bite-sized horror, and you also have confusing and seemingly unrelated sentences sewn together by a madman. So back in 2019, the CW, the amazing network that it is, decided to make a show by the same name as the subreddit. Some, big, fat, and also bald studio executives said, hey, pick a popular internet thing that will be cheap to produce, is popular, and won't cause any legal troubles. Shortly after that, the show was born, releasing 10 episodes in season 1 and peaking at 600,000 viewers with the first episode. It all went downhill from there. Later in 2019, it was added to Netflix, and it was almost immediately laughed into oblivion by the handful of people who did see it. Well, it looks like the only thing you need to be afraid of with this show is you need to be afraid of how bad it is. Thanks, guys. Thank you. I'll be here. I live here. Thank you so much, guys. I was a part of the previously mentioned handful, and sadly, one of several people I know that got duped by the title and concept of this show. Not only am I a fan of the subreddit and its format, but in general, I'm a fan of horror anthology stuff. And just imagine how strong the visual storytelling would have to be in a horror show with only 2 spoken lines. Oh, what's that? Huh? Oh, wait, that isn't how the show is at all? My bad. So, how is the 2-sentence horror concept involved beyond just the name of the show? Oh, well, I'm glad you asked. It isn't, dummy. In fact, one of the biggest causes of initial confusion was each episode of 2-sentence horror stories was made up of several, if not hundreds, of sentences. Now, most people watched a couple episodes, got confused, posted about how bad they were, and then left the series alone, as they should. That is, after all, what any sane person would do. I am neither sane nor a person, though, and quite frankly, this show has occupied far too much of my mind for too long. Someone, somewhere, needs to sit down and rank all the episodes of this show to figure out things like which season was best, which specific episode was best, which episode was worst, and do any of the 28 existing episodes actually end after 2 sentences? Well, look no further, comrade, for I have decided to shoulder this burden myself. Nobody asked me to do this, but I am channeling some big Atlas vibes here, maybe even a little bit of Sisyphus, if that is more your thing. And House of 2-Sentence Horrors will be us going over each and every episode together. We're going to spend an absurd amount of time getting to the bottom of just how bad this forgotten TV show is. Our journey begins with episode 1, Gentlemen. We open with a shot of a woman standing over her child's bed talking about the date she went on. Her name is Hannah, and she is a fool and a coward. Now I shouldn't get my hopes up, but this one seemed different, are her exact words and the words of someone who has in fact gotten their hopes up when they shouldn't have. Hard cut to date footage. This date is not going well. Hannah seems to be the problem, too. Ken, the guy she's on the date with, everyone, this is Ken, but not like Ken, just normal Ken. He's trying to make conversation, as you do on a first date, and she's just constantly interrupting him while tearing up napkins like a serial killer. Stop making a mess in the coffee shop, weirdo. Then some random woman walks in, and Ken goes, "Can I hold your baby?" And she just gives him her baby. She's fine with it. See, to me, this behavior would be strange, if not slightly alarming. Hannah is not like me, though. She falls in love because of this. She goes home and she tells her baby about this, possibly to make it jealous. Ha ha ha. Smelly baby. I bet you wish you had a dad to hold you. That's fucked up to do, Hannah. Knock it off. Seriously, knock it off. And Hannah's not even done being weird yet, because during this conversation she's having with a baby, she goes, "Oh, I almost forgot," and walks over to a dollhouse. This shot of her placing a second identical chair in the dollhouse room is so creepy for no reason. Whole episode is Hannah being creepy as hell for no damn reason. Stop it. Surprise, surprise, Ken is in fact not a good man after all. The entire dang time he's texting Hannah after the date, he's in another woman's bed being rude to her about breastfeeding and her lack of it.
You have a strange man in your house, and you ignore your baby, and you don't breastfeed. You're a bad mother.
Then he, kills her? The reason for my hesitation there is because I'm actually not super sure what happens here. I've watched this scene more than even a few times, and I'm still filled with confusion and despair. The framing of this scene, combined with the editing, makes it super confusing. From our POV, it kind of looks like Ken is just sort of holding on to her, and she's gasping and breathing and making sound the whole time, which is not typically the hallmark of being quickly choked to death. There's no comical neck snap sound either. He doesn't look like he smells especially good, so perhaps his stink aura did her in. Regardless of method, Ken kills this woman, and we now know he's a bad boy, no good man. Hard cut. This time, not to date footage, but to talking about date footage. And the dialogue in this scene is so funny to me, and I can't perfectly explain why. Maybe just how blunt and robotic it is.
How was the date last night?
I'm seeing him again tonight.
That's great.
How was your date last night? It was good. I am seeing him again tonight. That is great. Wow, that 3-minute coffee shop date where you tore up napkins and then watched a man snatch some other woman's baby really left a mark, huh? Personally, to me, that sounds like an awful date, but hey, what do I know? Then again, I'm not dating a murderer like you, Hannah, so maybe I do know a thing or two. The interaction with her coworker ends just as weird as it begins, too. Hannah's boss, or maybe coworker, I'm actually not sure, says, "You'll have to bring Iris in soon."
Iris. You'll have to bring her in soon.
Hannah pauses for way too long while she remembers her line and then goes, "Soon."
Soon.
She talks about how she's worried bringing her baby around new people, to which the coworker says, "I completely get it," and then immediately walks away. Script calls for me to exit scene left, and that is what I'm going to do, god damn it. Oh goody, another weird-ass shot of Hannah staring vacantly at dollhouse furniture. Why is the show making the single mother 10 times creepier than the actual murderer guy we saw magically slay a woman? He took her life. Why would they do this? This damn show makes us sit through a second awkward date scene in the first 10 minutes, and it's making me question if the writers have ever been on a date before or spoken to someone who has been on one, because date number 2, they are wasting no time getting into some deep topics, just sitting at the bar here, letting this shit fly for any random strangers to hear. Hannah tells him that her ex left her because she had too many miscarriages and they could never have a baby.
And I kept miscarrying. You couldn't take it anymore. You said we had to stop.
Then Ken responds by saying his mom was a whore and both of his parents abandoned him. They're having a lovely evening together. I mean, clearly they are, because these two little lovebirds start kissing in the park. Naughty, naughty. Hannah breaks it off and says, I want to take things slow. Maybe after a few dates we can arrange a meetup at a hotel. Ken does not like this. He feels insulted that she thinks he isn't good enough to go to her home, but she'll take him to a hotel somewhere to hook up. Both of you are so fucking weird, it's crazy. Well, okay. I guess Ken is not weird. He's just a villain. He talks talks right into her ear, and you just know his breath is hot as hell, and he is very mean to her, which makes Hannah pretty sad. After the incident in the park, Ken is full-blown insane evil man now, and the show makes this very obvious by him texting her and instantly saying, don't ignore me. Hey Ken, buddy, people cannot be ignoring you if they don't respond to a text faster than the time it takes them to pick their phone up and actually read your message. What is Hannah even doing right now? She's at work just sitting in front of a turned off monitor. Call in sick if you're just going to show up to work to do Stanley Kubrick's The Shining roleplay. Then she stares at more dollhouse furniture. Next morning, after a long day at work of looking at furniture made for little doll things, Hannah needs a coffee to start her day, and she goes on over to the coffee shop where her and Ken had their oh-so-memorable first date, which once again, to reiterate, consisted of her tearing up napkins and Ken grabbing a baby from a random woman. Ken was in his work scrubs during that date, so I assumed it was close to the hospital he worked at. Not the best place to go when trying to avoid someone, but honestly, at this point, I don't think Hannah has a reason to be worried.
Hannah, can we talk?
Okay, now Hannah should be worried. Bitch, don't go to work. Go to the police station. Situation went from not good to really bad. And you went to what? Crunch numbers at the office? Go to a back alley and buy a revolver. You have a child to protect from a baby-centric maniac. We have no time for work, Hannah. I will say, I love one part of this stupid workplace scene, though. She comes into the office to see what I believe are irises on her desk, the flower her daughter is named after. We are to assume Ken sent them, but we don't ever see the card, and neither does she. She just takes it off, throws it away, and then begins destroying the flowers at her desk. I really hope the flowers weren't just a coworker being friendly who now has to walk in to see the dollhouse psycho lady tearing them apart at her desk. Also, was this supposed to be creepy? Like, was a line supposed to have been crossed here? If the flowers were sent by Ken, it's not really that suspect. I don't think she should give him another chance. Even if he wasn't a murderer, he's very mean and bad. But this is a pretty acceptable way to win someone back, or an attempt at winning someone back. Is this trying to portray him as a stalker currently? Because literally all we have seen her talk to Ken about is her daughter's name, and her work. This is a de-escalation from the confrontation we had on the street. Wow, such a good architect. Very nice house drawing, Hannah. Ken shows up at her work. He scheduled a client consultation meeting so that he could see her. Uh-oh, this is very bad, Hannah. It's time to take drastic measures. So, Jesus Christ, this guy moves fast. What has it been, like a single day? Dude already has a meeting lined up with Hannah's boss and a fake backstory ready to go. And after the meeting, Hannah just goes home. Hannah, call the police. Dial 9 followed by 2 1s. Oh my god, what a surprise. Ken found her house and got inside while she was asleep. God fucking damn it, Hannah. Did you even lock the front door? It is too late to call the police now, and you never took my advice to go get the back alley gun. Ugh. Cue a comically short and low energy struggle scene between Ken and Hannah that conveniently ends right in front of the baby room. The baby room Ken wanted inside of all along. No! Alright, are you guys ready for that epic twist nobody could have seen coming? There was no baby. There was never a baby, and you were a fool for thinking there was, and I even lied when I said they made Hannah look creepy for no reason. But, yeah, no shit there was no baby. They never once show us the baby. She is super weird about dollhouses, and is very obviously psycho doll mom the entire episode. Oh, also, she straight up says her ex left her because they couldn't have a baby. Ken was an idiot for thinking he could get to hold another baby on this night, and he deserved that shoulder wound. Oh yeah, did I forget to mention, she stabbed him in the shoulder with scissors, which, for some reason, made him unable to really move. In reality, he'd probably be mildly annoyed by this injury and then would have just murdered her on the spot on account of that is kind of his thing. We've seen that he does that. And she does step on the scissors, though, and it kills him instantly. I do remember learning about that in med school, that lightly pressing on scissors sticking out of someone's shoulder is the fastest way to kill them out of anything on the whole planet, even. Then, the weirdo doll mom lived happily ever after. Oh wait, no. Her whole life is a lie. All of her coworkers and friends will at some point realize that she had no baby and needs to be institutionalized. Episode 1 would best be described as a confused mess. In fact, I anticipate many episodes of this show will. I genuinely forgot that this was supposed to be a horror show while watching this episode. I watched it a few times, actually. And, quite frankly, even now, I'm still confused as to where exactly I was supposed to get spooked. The whole episode consisted of 2 painfully awkward dates between people who need to be locked up. Admittedly, in different places, but locked up no less. And who the hell am I supposed to be rooting for? Because the only 2 characters are insane people. Ken was obviously more evil, as he was a murderer and rude as hell, but Hannah was a big-time psycho as well, and didn't even have a baby to protect. I don't want either of them to win. Should have ended with the whole house catching on fire. Gentleman is going to get our first ever episode score, and I'm rating it a 28 out of 100. Confusing editing, robotic dialogue, and a plot twist you'd have to be asleep to not see coming a mile away. Call me old-fashioned, but I would like to have a character worth rooting for in a horror story, not a protagonist that's more unsettling than the horrors they're subjected to. Hopefully, in episode 2, we can shoot for a higher score, maybe even one approaching average. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, consider giving it a like and subscribing to keep up with the rest of the series. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go smear baby food all over my my daughter. My real, actual daughter that I gave birth to. See ya!